Back and bigger than ever, it's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Presented by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
Alrighty then, welcome back. It is another edition of the unofficial 40 podcast. Right here on Soonerscoop.com we're heavy into the recruiting season, which is where a lot of the coaches have been lately out on the road. Josh McQuistion was out on the road yesterday. That's one of the many reasons we're doing this today on a Thursday instead of the customary Wednesday. So we expect, next week I've got to make a trip, so I think we're going to be even earlier podcast next week. So a lot of stuff going on, guys. I don't even know where to begin. So I want to say this first and foremost. Thanks to everyone who has gone on iTunes and given a rating for the podcast and fighting the miserables. I guess that's what I've decided to call them. Eddie, do you concur with that?
Yeah.
We got a nice spike?
I think so.
A lot of spikes in ratings and reviews, a lot of positive stuff, some very funny stuff, which I'm
more interested
maybe
in
go
the
over
negative.
later. There's one... I don't want to give it too much. We'll get into it a little bit later. But the other thing I want to hit on before we get into hardcore Bob and Josh time is Eddie Radosevich, young Edward.
What did I do?
What do you feel about the Cubs fan who was kicked out for life for playing the circle game?
It's just so stupid. I don't understand it. I mean, I guess that's the world that we live in.
When did the circle game become a racist activity?
I think over the last couple years. Because
they say it makes a T or a P and a W.
I have no idea.
For white power, when you do the OK signal
so
upside down.
It's just
really.
It's funny that happens
on the day that they.
Thing. Me neither. I had no clue.
I mean, I knew that it was out there, but it's so stupid, and especially on the same day that they bring up Addison Russell back into the lineup, which is just even more ridiculous. But
the other thing is, did you see the USA Today tweet?
Yeah, about Theo Epstein getting banned from Wrigley.
It made it out like Theo Epstein was banned from Wrigley forever for giving a white supremacist sign.
So idiotic.
Very confusing.
The whole thing is just ridiculous. And the other part about it, too, is I don't tend to find myself agreeing with Clay Travis a whole lot, but he's just been blasting him this morning.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And as we've talked about before, it is the world of robocalls. So, but didn't the Cubs at least leave him a message? They said they tried to reach out and contact him. Like,
I don't know.
Wouldn't it have taken a guy picking up the phone one time and going, "What are you talking about, white supremacists? I was trying to get my buddies to look. I was playing the circle game."
Circle game.
It's just this. You can't do anything. I don't want to say it's a PC world, but it's a PC world with anything that you say or do right now. Everything is scrutinized.
You did have some people that were upset at you about the old stuff on the recent round of reviews. I just hope that Steve Kerr,
the way the world works.
I hope that Steve Kerr gets a bunch of 1 stars on any podcast he's doing after last night.
I was offended. I know that people. It's not good to wish harm on anybody, but just for a split second, I think everybody had to have been like,
I had to work so hard to not say horrible things.
Oh, because if you say anything, then you're the asshole.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's like, you can't say it.
You're not the asshole, you're just a asshole.
Yeah.
You're an asshole.
But everybody's like, you can't say that when everybody was thinking it. At least if you're a Thunder fan.
Anthony Jeselnik can say it, but that's about it.
I still think it's worse than a calf strain.
Oh, Jeselnik?
Jeselnik,
yeah.
I'm sure he's right up your alley, isn't he?
I like what he does. He has some funny things.
He goes after babies a lot.
Honestly, I haven't heard his name in a long time.
He's got some Netflix specials
Does
out
he?
there.
Right.
Check him out.
Yep.
It's just a PC world we live in.
So, I'm sorry, Bob, you had a point.
Oh, I think it's still worse than a calf.
How can it not be?
We'll find out this afternoon.
Please don't stab my desk. I know I left a knife near you.
I hope it's something. It would be funny if the Warriors were to go on and win the finals
without him. No.
Yeah.
If we find out,
they look better.
I'll say this: if we find out that Kevin Durant is out for the rest of the playoffs, I am rooting my ass off for the Warriors to win it. I really am.
I'd be surprised if he's out.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know if he'll be back for the series, though.
Yeah, maybe not. I think they're going to win on Friday anyways, regardless if he plays.
It just seems it seems like it's heading in that direction. It's one of those things, it's like you let your guard down because you know Kevin Durant's not playing, then boom. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry come out and hit like 20 threes between them in the first half.
Very well happen. I've seen it happen before.
So anyway, playoffs really, other than that, kind of sucked. I mean, everything's been a blowout. Everybody's won on their home floor.
Blazers Nuggets have been fun until Game 5. Game 5.
Yeah,
Game 5 sucked.
Game.
Game 5 sucked for Toronto, Philly, Boston, the Bucks. It was Game 5.
I'm so disappointed that Damian Lillard sucks now. Like that he's just an average player. Like
kind of knew that was going to happen, right?
Yeah, I mean you suspected it, but I hate seeing it because it's just like, God damn, like why couldn't he just be human against the Thunder?
Or why couldn't the Thunder do anything to
make him human?
We're all those people that were saying that Damian Lillard's a top 5 player in the NBA a month ago.
He became the MVP all of a sudden after that Thunder series.
I hope Denver closes it out tonight. Long story short, I'm ready for basketball to be over.
I would think that you're a Jokic fan, though.
I don't mind him. I think he's great.
He represents your species.
I'm surprised that, he's from Serbia, right?
I was thinking more like, physical build.
He does have, I'm not 7'4" like he is or whatever, 7 foot.
But you don't have any definition in your arms.
He is a doughboy.
I will say you have lovely legs. You always have.
I have great legs.
You have good legs.
I should start shaving them.
You should, or you just started?
I should.
You're not a very hairy individual.
No, I'm not.
I thought maybe
that's one thing. I got a lot of hair on my head, but not.
Yeah, you do.
Not on the body.
It grows fast. Josh McQuistion is here.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys. I've had a few times it felt like diving in, and I was like, you know what? People think I shave mine should be my opening line of this podcast. That's perfect.
Yeah, you're not a very hairy person. None of us are really all that hairy on this at Sooner Scoop.
And it doesn't help. My hair is all blonde, so like even what is there is not highly visible. Like it just kind of is. It's hard to see.
Josh probably has the thinnest hair of us all. Bob's okay.
Yeah.
He's not in danger. Eddie and I are definitely not. Well, I'm in my mid-40s. I'm not losing my hair.
My dad's still got a full head, so I still feel pretty good. Yeah. I know that's not exactly the precursor, but I have confidence.
I have so much hair that I have a tradition every year. I just shave it all off after spring practices are over, just to not deal with it. Eddie is the opposite. He never gets his cut.
So you support the circle game and you shave your head. Interesting. Starting to come together. What's that?
I don't shave it. I buzz it.
You call that a robe in the corner. What really is that? Does it have a hood?
I did buy Eddie a present today, and I left it in his chair just so he would have good feelings about that chair. Eddie has the largest backpack in the history of backpacks. Thing is monster expensive, but the last one lasted, 10 years?
Quite a while, yeah.
I think I bought that one in 2009. That's amazing, Josh. Eddie has been with us 10 years.
Wow,
makes me feel really old.
We need to have some sort of ceremony. We need to have a little scoop gathering to celebrate the moment.
It does make me feel really old when you look back on it.
Well, you're just at that age where you can tell, it's really creepy for you to approach a college girl and say, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I mean, you basically would have to roofie them to get close.
Wait, that's an age? That happens?
Yeah, after 30. After 30, if you want to talk to 22-year-olds, you got to, or I don't even know, 20-year-olds, I guess, right?
I think
I was in my 20s hanging out in Groovy, so I just got there fast, I guess.
Well, you Putnam
there is
City
no
boys.
there is no age preference or cutoff at Groovies.
Yeah,
it's all good at Groovies.
Everybody's welcome,
and it's very aggressive.
Can be.
Oh, super.
Yeah,
super.
Like if you go there with a girlfriend, just know she's going to get hit on all night. You're going to be fending off people.
Oh yeah.
We know that's where I met Tiffany, right? Like we're aware of that. The pod is.
I think you've told me that.
Oh
before.
yeah, but I think that needs more
Hasn't been
discovery.
Brought up
yeah,
recent. Yeah.
I went there with some buddies and I mean, really, like I was probably in Groovy's at least every other weekend back in the day. Like I really liked Groovy's, knew the bartenders. I think Eddie can attest there is few places in Oklahoma City that will make you a stronger drink than Groovy's. So, always liked that place. So anyway, we were just up there one night and Tiffany was on the opposite end of the spectrum. She'd never been before. She didn't know anything about it. She'd gotten dragged out like a friend of a friend's birthday kind of thing. And she didn't really want to be there. And her friend walks up to me and is like, "Hey, my friend thinks you're cute." And I had seen her earlier in the night. And I was like, well, I was kind of thinking the same thing, in my drunk, cool guy speech. I was kind of thinking the same thing. So, like, I end up going up to her and we talked for a little while. My buddy, to lend itself to Carey's point, my buddy, knowing that I'm trying to talk to her, starts hitting on her once I go to the bathroom. And I come back and I'm like, what the hell, man? And he's like, "Oh no, I was just, we're just talking, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, yeah, This guy ends up being the best man in our wedding. So, wow. Yeah, so it was an interesting evening for sure. But Tiffany, I give her a lot of bad raps, was very, very virtuous and good. First night we met, we were both very respectful. So that was Groovy's. For once, didn't result in bad decisions. So that's probably a record for Groovy's.
So just second base then on the first date.
There was no second base. We were, like I said, it was. I think I was at a different level of party than Tiffany was that night, and she was like, "This guy sober might be okay. I might not hate him." So I think that's where that was, that's where the sparks flew. Is that like she might not hate me if I sobered up a little bit.
Can you do the rest of the pod in your drunk guy cool voice?
Oh, I could have. I mean, that's home base for me, Bob. That's pretty much my entire 20s. So. Yeah, I can do that, I mean, and if we want to get into the really good ones, I mean, Carey finding me passed out on the floor in Nashville, that's another good one. In the bathroom floor, no less, of our shared hotel room.
That was when I knew
That's when you were doing crank, though, wasn't it?
I was in for an adventure. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy now to think about it because I would say, Josh, with the family and the F-950 and all that, like, you're probably, and your house is clean. You're probably the most put together. Well, Bob just came out of the womb that way. I mean,
yes,
sorry,
yes. Bob organized his sock drawer at like 7.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, between me, Eddie, and you, definitely, you started out just like Eddie and I, but you actually made it.
It's and Bob can attest. Like, it's amazing the stuff you don't know or don't think about until you live with a woman, and you're like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like I'd never thought about that, and I would never say this to Tiffany's face, but I can say it over the pod. Like there are things that you're like, yeah, I probably could have been doing that all along. That would have been a little smarter, a little easier for my life.
There are definitely things in my kitchen that have been in the same place for maybe a year that.
As long as it's not
should
food.
Have been put away.
As long as it's not food.
No, but it's like dirty things that just like a food processor that I used back on the 4th of July last year to make something. Not guacamole or anything,
July 4th coming up again. It's right there. You're ready.
The anniversary, break it out.
Yeah, every year I decide it's time to clean. Actually, you know what is in my kitchen that wouldn't be if a woman was here? I have I bought a deep fryer for the last 4th of July. No. A deep fryer for the last 4th of July. I still haven't taken the oil out of it.
Oh.
You should probably change that at some point.
But I mean, I'm not reusing it.
Just for my sanity.
Is Bob still in his seat or is he walking up?
Right? Bob is running.
He's leaving. He is gone.
Man.
I don't know I haven't read up on how you're supposed to properly dispose of peanut oil. I have a lot of other things to do. Okay, so I think that's enough friendly banter to start the show. This really is a 1-star podcast at this point. So, yeah, I can see why some of the people rate us the way they do. Here's something interesting, guys. And, Eddie, this probably speaks to the olds. No more OU Tulsa Caravan. How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
It's almost become a annual event, the Tulsa Caravan, as far as
the only one that anybody cared about,
that people actually attended.
Right.
But, it doesn't surprise me.
Has there been a reason given, though? Because I thought it was always pretty well attended, wasn't it?
I didn't think the reason. I didn't buy the reason.
Right, didn't make as much sense. It was a good story by Eric Bailey.
Eric Bailey's the one
I didn't check it out. What was it?
Okay.
So Eric Bailey wrote the story. He got quotes from Joe Castiglione about what it was and why they were. They basically want to do something in the fall, which means Lincoln Riley won't be there. But basically claiming that attendance had fallen, and maybe he wasn't saying just at Tulsa because. I go to the Tulsa one every year. I have forever. I mean,
it's usually
probably
well
20
attended.
years. Mm-hmm. And it's because it's the one time like Bob Stoops would talk in the summer. So you got used to going to Tulsa because if you want to, and really that's where all his SEC stuff came from over the years that got them all riled up.
The last time Bob ever talked to the media as Oklahoma's head coach was the Tulsa Caravan.
Yeah.
Watching the golf team.
Watching OU win a national championship in golf.
And he would literally hide in there so he didn't have to go out and deal with the fans sometimes. But he would go because he got to play Southern Hills, and then he would come to the Caravan.
Get overserved and come talk to...
Try and sober up, yeah.
Basically.
Well, he had to get overserved to deal with signing that many footballs, probably.
Yeah, probably so.
Grown men footballs.
But I will say this, like the ones in Houston and Dallas... and even the Oklahoma City one, I mean, it was okay, but, I think maybe they want to go in the direction of some of these, like, statue, ceremonies that they've had and come up with bigger events that, highlight some. I don't know. Joe was really, in Eric Bailey's article, he was not evasive, but he was very vague on exactly. He mentioned something about highlighting a student-athlete's life from scholarship to graduation or something, and I was just thinking... What are we doing?
Let's be honest. If they go out there and highlight like
I'd literally go in the back and just sit there and go, "Where's Lincoln Riley?"
It's like, when's this thing over? No one cares. No one cares if they highlight. I don't want to pick on a sport, but if it's not a football player, people aren't going to care.
Okay. Good example. Like they pick Maggie Nichols, like an incredibly accomplished gymnast, like done all these great things. What would you say? 75% of the people in that room would never have heard of Maggie Nichols prior to that moment.
Oh, I think in the OU Caravan, most of those people know who Maggie Nichols is.
Yeah, if you're going to that thing, you probably do, but I would say 99% of those people are there because of the football program.
Now, if it was
they're
like
there because they're to see Bob Stoops or Lincoln Riley. They're not there to see KJ Kindler.
If it was like, no. And really, they like Sherry, but okay, Lon. Yeah, nice to see you, Lon. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
But with Stoops, or Lincoln Riley, they're bringing personalized items that they want him to sign and stuff specifically. So you
don't see a lot of people walking with basketballs.
I don't know. I mean, no, you don't. It's just one of those things. It's like, okay, so maybe it's not pleasant that you have to do it, but you need to do it. You need to have some outreach. You need to let the fans know, even though it's not something that is convenient for you. Like, I don't know. You have to do something for the fans, don't you, to let them know, hey, we appreciate you guys.
And you can't do that during the season.
No.
That's where the mix-up for me happens. There's nothing you can do in the fall that's going to make that stand out when you're right in the middle of the football season.
Look, not everybody that's a season ticket holder is on Twitter or that goes to football games. Just like not everybody that is in that stadium on Saturdays is a Sooner Scoop subscriber. Like, we know this. Like, we've talked about this before. I mean, there is a way that people are used to being appreciated. And you're just kind of telling people, we're not doing that anymore. And we don't know what we're going to do to replace it, but...
That's the real problem. If they knew what they were doing, people would accept this a lot more.
It seems tone deaf, does it not?
I stand with OU in this. I think it's a middle finger to the olds. Nobody cares about these caravans. It just dawned on me that that's what they're doing. I support it.
But you've been to those.
Nobody young is attending those.
Please.
Is that right?
Who was our board member that was first in line?
Yeah, but that's...
Who was that guy?
That's
what was his name?
Miller.
Oh, OU Miller, yeah.
I think that's different, though. I mean, he would probably... I mean, if Hitler coached at OU and he was signing out memorabilia, he might go and stand in line.
Well, first off, Hitler didn't have a football background. He never would have made it to OU as a coach.
No, that's true. More of a basketball guy.
Yes, that's it.
I'm going to say golf. It was a white ball that he could smack around.
I don't know if he had the accolades to get into Augusta National.
Well, at one time he did. At one period of time in our country's history. So, is this racist? Brought to you by... No, but, I mean...
Not as racist as much hateful, maybe.
Is this hate speech? Brought to you by Eddie.
Perhaps.
I don't know. I mean, it's a bad look. It makes OU look a little bit like they don't care about the fans, and ticket prices aren't getting any cheaper. I mean,
They're still going to sell them though.
they're squeezing the stadium. They're taking out seats, but they're charging more. I think fans get, and look, the crunch is coming to OU. It hasn't got it's starting to form. Like,
Yeah.
do you guys ever remember a time when OU has been offering season ticket packages in the summer? And it's been the last 2 years now.
No, but I don't think that has anything to do with not hosting a
Caravan?
barbecue get together in Tulsa.
What I'm saying is you need to have more outreach, not less, in these times. And giving a guy, a crazy fan like OU Miller a chance to come out and just have Bob Stoops autograph his football, like that means the world to some fans.
Yeah. But at the same
Mr.
time,
Miller.
What's that, Josh?
I said, hi, Mr. Miller.
I don't know.
I just threw something.
I think that in a way they're just doing something that people don't care about anymore. I mean, they need to find a different way to interact with the fans or reach out to the fans? Probably, but I think that
So what else
that is just a ancient way of doing it.
But now they've basically told fans there's no time for you to have interactions with coaches unless you have children under 14. That's the only time fans have to have any face-to-face interaction with a coach at OU.
I think it's better than
And so
doing these faux events where the coach acts like he cares about talking to the fans.
that's been that way forever, though. I mean, didn't I just see a thing where Nick Saban went to like some amateur golf dinner or something that was in the state? Like, he still does all these hokey tours.
Oh, that's a big golf event that they played on Wednesday.
Was that like
It's
a big charity deal?
Yeah, it's like a big charity that they do in Alabama every year. And it has people from all over the country.
But are we getting to this place where the only time you do any outreach is when there's cameras there so you can make it a social media event?
100%.
Is that genuine?
Carey, well, what's the caravan? Like, there's not cameras there.
I mean, it's not really. I mean, I'm talking about, they'll go to, I don't want to be crass about this, but, kids with cancer and stuff, they'll throw cameras up all the time with that stuff.
Sure.
That's a known fact. I mean, I don't think people just, you can't say it.
Is that self-serving?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
So that's not genuine. I think it's genuine.
I think it's genuine.
It's genuine.
The act is genuine.
Right.
But it's kind of like, in a way, I don't know if this is a good comparison or not, but it's kind of like the Dr. Phil thing. Like, he's there to help these people, but we're going to broadcast it for an hour on national television.
And it's always like you hear those stories. It's like, Dr. Phil has invited, this crazy person. Britney Spears, I think, was the latest. Like, Dr. Phil has reached out
really
to Britney
cares
Spears
about you
to help her with her life because it's spiraling
But we're
going to
put together an hour special, and then we're going to run a podcast special that you can get on drphil.com.
Yeah. It's all self-serving.
And we're going to run 12 new sponsors.
Yeah. I think that's the way that stuff is, though.
But you know what? Bob Stoops, it was years before anyone knew that he went every morning to the Children's Hospital.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I'm not
he
here
didn't
saying
want
that it's
cameras
not
to go
genuine.
to do that. So, I mean, look, I think it genuinely affects you when you go through those. Like the thing at Iowa, that's a really cool deal. Like it's integrated in, it's genuine. You feel like the kids get as much out of it as the program does, and the program gets a lot out of it. It's just I think all that stuff is great, but my God, I mean, at some point you kind of have to just, I don't want to say it's annoyance or a distraction, but you have to do something. It's just like common courtesy. I mean, it's kind of like if somebody comes to your house and just slams the door in your face because they don't know you. Like, who lives their life like that besides me?
I would imagine there will be events for people that spend enough money. How about that? And that has never changed.
Look, you can't deny.
Like, how much did it cost to go to a Sooner Caravan event? I really don't know.
I think you just had to be a Sooner Club member.
Okay.
Which that in itself, helped raise money for scholarships. But then OU paid, probably to cater it, and who knows how much money they were spending to do those. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it wasn't insignificant.
That sounds like, I wonder if they just kind of looked at okay, here's what we get out of the people that are making the donations to Sooner Club. Are we giving them more than we're getting back?
Yeah. Because it is a business.
Yeah. Because, that just seems like, with nothing being paid up front to be there, and it has to all be accumulated from Sooner Club funds, those are the ones that are tough to manage financially, because you're trying to figure out, okay, how much is allocated here? How much is allocated here? How much do we actually get to give to the scholarships or whatever else that this money is supposed to be used for? And how much is just us paying out of pocket for people to come eat and listen to our coaches talk?
Well, and obviously, Joe's about balancing the budget.
Gallogly is about balancing.
Well, and that's the thing too. I know we had a couple threads on the softball stadium build and that stuff, and what was taking them so long. What's taking them so long is because when stuff like this came up in the past, Bourne would just take out some bonds that they'd pay back over time, and they'd build stuff. Well, first thing James Gallogly did when he came in, he was like, we're not doing that crap anymore. If we're going to build something, we're going to have money for it. So OU basically has to raise $30 million before they can build this thing, and they haven't raised $30 million. And I'm sure the tax laws and all that stuff about donations to athletic departments is affecting everything. The economy, in Oklahoma, the oil economy has not been great. But people have a point. Like, why can OSU build a $60 million stadium and OU can't build a $30 million?
They've been trying to do that for 30 years, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. It's
2019. I remember them talking about tearing down Alley P in like 95.
Yeah.
It's been a
long time.
They've been working on that thing, and if I'm sure that OU fans don't like him, but Josh Holiday worked his ass off to raise the money to get that stadium.
And they had one guy, I think, that gave like $58 million.
Yeah. So, and his name wasn't Boone Pickens.
And it wasn't Boone Pickens, yeah.
Exactly. People think that to just build stuff on a college campus, too, that you just go to, like Joe C. has this special little checkbook, and he's just like, all right, here's $25 million. There you go.
What he does do is he just goes to the big donors and says, hey, I need this. It's just that he's not getting it, which is, all right, F you, Toby Keith. I'm not buying any more of your music. Like I ever bought any in the first place. I don't think, Toby Keith, I'm sure, is rich as hell, but I doubt he's got $30 million laying around just to give to a softball stadium.
He'd give to the football team anyways.
And I don't know how much the whole Boren under investigation, Gallogly, special counsel, all this stuff is screwing over Joe C. in the athletic department either. It's got to be playing a part to it.
And they've already spent like $5 million, I think. I saw something about they pay off the law firm. Yeah, the law firm that's been investigating it.
It's a crazy time at OU right now. It's just in terms of donors and money and.
Well, hey, they're going to get some money out of passing the beer sales on Friday, so I don't know how much they'll get out of that. But
I think that's probably about a few million is all they'll get out of that when it's all said and done. It's not something that's going to help you build the West Side stands.
No.
And by the way, that ain't happening.
That ain't happening.
If you can't build a softball stadium, you ain't building the West Side stands.
That press box is going to be there forever.
And here's the problem. OU took the lead. Josh, they took the lead over so many programs, but now you see like Missouri is building a south end zone. Like other programs are they're going to keep building crap too.
Yeah, that's the thing that everybody, and that's the thing when Bob arrived, Oklahoma went through that whole rebuilding phase and they changed all the facilities and they built the indoor and all that other stuff. Well, that's great, but in this day and age of college football, if you're not building something, you're falling behind. Like, because it's just constant. There is, okay, we've changed our weight room. Okay, well now we're going to do new locker rooms. Okay, now we've got to redo the facade of the state. I mean, there's just always something, because by the time that the 5-year window rolls past when you had the new and innovative stuff, it's out of date now.
Like,
now you got to start all over again.
Doesn't Everest feel old?
Oh yeah.
Just antiquated. Like there's no.
I mean, that was the first
Yeah,
thing
the
that they
weather
built.
machine inside of it doesn't even work anymore, where you can generate your own weather.
Yeah, the snow machines hasn't worked for decades.
It's crazy. No, it does feel old, which is crazy. Even like the new Switzer Center side feels a little bit old, and it's only been there for what, 2 years? Not old, but it's just like, God, I can't even remember.
It's losing that new car smell.
Yeah, and I can't even remember when, like, I saw some pictures, I think on my Facebook or something, of the south end zone. And it's like, holy shit, I can't remember when that was just the stands. Like, it wasn't the whole entire thing. It's wild.
They'll never be able to bowl that thing in.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was like, they brought out architects from Egypt, and they dug down to the bedrock and found out that you can't make that corner connect to the other corner.
Whatever,
It's
man.
science. Just like the water table that Lloyd Noble won't let you do anything to it.
Is that out there?
Oh, that was the thing, that was always the thing that was talked about. I think that's legitimate. Otherwise, they would have lowered and reconfigured the seating. Something about, I don't know, water tables or... Oh, trust me, somebody will
find something.
yeah.
When we post this on the message board, it'll be... No, you got it all wrong. It was...
You never know what's
Update. I don't care.
gonna bring that out. What random thing we talk about is gonna bring out the most comments, but that could be it.
The Lloyd Noble thing. Yeah, it is always weird. Like, what people get all up in a tizzy about, we talk about. Usually it's about something that we get completely wrong that we don't.
Yeah.
None of us care about.
Which is fine. And I'm just curious sometimes what generates the comments. Things sometimes you expect it to, does nothing. And then when that's just a off the wall, just kind of whatever. And that is the one that gets 30 to 40 replies.
So, I mean, the Caravan thing, the donations thing, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it's just, I think this is a athletic department that's going through a lot of change. I think, all the stuff that Lincoln Riley has done has opened up a lot of eyes with their outreach. I just don't think it's the same thing. I think what Lincoln is doing is to reach young recruits. What the athletic department needs to be doing, I don't know. I mean, they have brilliant people working on how to raise money, and they have forever. I don't know what the answer is, but I wouldn't say making social videos is the way to reach the olds with money. Maybe
I think that's probably it's kind of interesting just as far as I think it goes even further than just only college football. I mean, I think it goes... There's a lot of changing, I think, in the world right now. I don't want to be like too philosophical.
Man.
Wait a minute.
Even like just as far as, and might be a different example, but just like country clubs and stuff and golf.
Yeah.
It's like they're losing people daily
Oh,
because
yeah.
people just don't want to spend money on that kind of stuff anymore. A, because everything's more expensive these days. And B, there's just not a whole lot more interest in stuff like that. But
Yeah, you got country clubs all throughout Oklahoma in smaller towns that are just like falling apart.
I think college football is kind of the same way. Like, and I've told you guys before, and I think we've talked about it on the podcast, just as far as people my age that have families, that have kids these days, that probably 10 years ago, they were guaranteed to be down in Norman on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can have everybody over to your house. You could watch the games and especially in Norman, if they start at 11 a.m., nobody's going to want to drive down. Or even on the other side of that, nobody wants to come down here at 7 o'clock for a game.
You built that outdoor living space in your backyard. You want to enjoy it,
I don't want to say like a cheapness about it because people are spending money still, but there's just so many other ways to consume things. As far as you don't have to participate in
it's a convenience thing, I think.
And I think that in a way that the Caravan stuff is a little bit like that. I think the way that the university spends money, and specifically with OU, it's different this currently too, because it forever it'd been that tripod. It was Boren, Castiglione, and Stoops, and there's been a lot of change. Like that was the first thing that Bob or Castiglione or whoever would talk about. Those were always the first like pillars. Is us three work so well together, and I think that there's just a lot of new ideas in Norman right now, and that includes getting a new regent.
It is. It's strange because like since Bob took over, there were so many things that everybody was focused on, which was why doesn't he recruit better? And then Lincoln comes in here and he makes Oklahoma a recruiting power, just like all the schools you've been jealous of all these years. Yet you have a lot of awards and accolades on the field. You don't win a championship though, and it's like. It's not. I don't understand why it's not more intriguing to people. And maybe it's just because I don't know. Maybe game day as a institution is broken, like you said.
I don't know if it's broken as much as it's just why would you go spend? And people will adamantly disagree with this, and I think I would even disagree with this because I enjoy the game day atmosphere or aspect of being on a campus for a game day.
I'm going to tell you one thing that really screwed up was tailgating on Lindsay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Getting rid of the tailgating right there really put a damper on
absolutely.
A lot of people's thoughts on how much. It's another one of those outreach things. It's like it's not that it keeps people from coming to the game, but it gives people a negative perception of how OU feels about them.
Sure.
And when you're relying on people that didn't just attend OU, like you're making it feel like you're an exclusive club that people don't belong to when you do stuff like that.
And I think that there's a little bit of, and the reasons for eliminating tailgating can be debated, I think, end on forever, but I do think that it has something to do with, I think OU wanted to push people towards Campus Corner, and I think they wanted people to go to the event that they hold, that Oklahoma holds in the parking lot off Jenkins, as far as, they thought,
you mean that tailgating company that rented out that space?
No. Well, that
was weird.
And the thing up on Jenkins as far as like the family gathering type thing.
Oh, yeah, the Fan Fest stuff, the concert and all that crap.
And let's be honest, I think that a little bit of it was just Bourne didn't want a bunch of drunk people walking around campus, which
with
on a college
family
game day and Saturday is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry you built, family-friendly dorms that nobody wants to stay in across from your football stadium, but there's more than enough room for people to tailgate right there.
Yeah.
And you close that street anyway. I mean, I know you got to let ambulances through and stuff like that, but it's not like people didn't take over that street before anyway. I mean, they're drunk. If you run over them, they won't notice.
Won't feel it for sure.
Yeah.
No, there was definitely a part of that was, I'm sure, fueled by the foreign exchange students that are national merit
I don't buy
scholar
that at
losers.
all. I don't buy that. I just think it was Bourne wanting to protect his new jewel of the campus.
For the national merit scholars that don't care about football.
Yeah, the people that live there are people that are coming in from other countries and, they have families, and that's kind of who it was targeted at.
Can't build the wall fast enough.
Well, it didn't help.
Around the entire country.
It doesn't help when, you have a it's not even political. It's not whether I'm a very middle of the road guy when it comes to that stuff, but I mean, there's so many things that Trump put into place that hurts universities, which is, the stuff about the visas, and then the stuff, not even about the wall, but, the stuff about donations not being tax write-offs anymore. I mean, it's not been good.
Don't worry, folks. Carey's been banned for a week. He just took care of it.
Politics.
It's just, I think as a whole, you can say that there's a lot of changing parts, and especially on a university or on a college campus right now, that I think it would be very interesting to hear, the people from the Sooner Club or the OU Club or whatever.
Or season ticket holders, just in general. I mean, guys that sit in the north end zone, Do you feel more welcome now than you did?
Yeah.
And you know what? The Sooner Club and the athletic department, they're very good about polling those people and surveying those people.
I think they try as hard as much as they can. It's just it's very hard to please everybody right now. Because if you do something for one segment, the people in the north end zone, it's like in the south end zone, it's like my parents had some tickets down there, and they could have stayed down there, but it was going to cost more money.
Yeah.
And you kind of get what you pay for nowadays.
Yeah.
And especially at a sporting event like a major college university like OU.
Well, it's kind of like me yelling at the guys last year that got everybody all upset. Like, you don't want to go to the game, but then you don't want to pay to watch it at home. Like, when
The
paying to
pay-per-view
watching
stuff,
it
yeah.
at home is going to be cheaper than you going to the game with your family.
Well, and I know that we've talked about it in the Scoop DMs, but you might have to pay for every game here coming up.
Yeah, I mean the RSN stuff, that was the Fox Sports Regional Sports Network stuff, Fox Sports Oklahoma, Fox Sports Southwest, Fox Sports Midwest. I mean, all you guys listening probably have some TV package that gives you regional
I would say
networks.
99.9% of everybody that is listening has some kind of sports package.
So, and that was where you watched Big 12 football. So now that's been sold off to Sinclair, who's going to, they get baseball rights out of that, NBA rights, like the Thunder, they'll be showing the Thunder games. But since Fox owns these broadcasting rights, my question is, like, where do these Big 12 games go? How is Fox going to show all these? Like, that's a big problem.
I don't think that there's going to be any point where we're sitting on a Saturday, or OU fans are sitting on a Saturday, and OU's not on. Now,
No, you're right, yeah. Fox will find a way to put them on.
Kansas game or something?
Kansas State. I mean, are we going to be in a position where Big 12 games aren't even televised, except digitally?
I'd be surprised if it got to that point, but
Will ESPN Plus become the wave of the future? Is that how we consume content, though?
Are we headed to the Ocho, finally? ESPN Ocho. We're going to have 8 ESPN channels.
it might be.
Of course, that's not Fox. Like, ESPN would have to buy the games from Fox and put them on ESPN Plus.
Well, and is this the news that finally spurs what every Oklahoma fan has been wanting? And, if these things happen like we're talking about, does this spur finally Oklahoma's higher-ups to say, okay, we've got to get serious about doing something else?
I think everything's
Because there's
headed
no
for
way
it.
I'll tell you.
It's a collision course for 2023, or what is it? 2025?
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I did reach out to Joe C., and he said, well, Sooner Sports Network is safe. That's what we know. And, really, they have to wait till Sinclair takes over, and Fox has to figure out what they're going to do. So it's very much up in the air.
Do you think that looking back on it now, do you think that if they had to do it all over again, they'd do everything the same as far as Sooner Sports properties and everything that they've done? Or do you think that money would have been managed in a different way? I really don't know.
God, I mean, if they could do it over again, I would hope they would realize we need a TV network like in 1998.
Sure.
And kick Texas out of the conference if they didn't want to do it.
Yeah. So in a perfect world, you'd go back and make a Big 12 network type thing?
Hell yes.
Oh, yeah.
And do it just like the Big Ten did it.
Yeah.
By the way, like the SEC, they can talk about all the money. The Big Ten is killing it for what they are. Their network deal is the best because they own the damn thing.
It's an actual network.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, I'm probably 10 times more likely to flip over to ESPN and an SEC network type thing as opposed to catch up with Rutgers and Indiana.
Oh, yeah. I don't even have the Big Ten network, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not interested in Big Ten football.
Every once in a while,
and
I'll
anything that
flip it on and there'll be something on.
The things that are interesting, they're going to be on. I mean,
Yep.
if I want to watch Ohio State, Michigan, that's not on the Big Ten network.
None of those games are. You might be able to catch them in playing lacrosse or something.
I'm not watching Minnesota Northwestern, no matter what channel it's on.
And that's why people are so pissed about OU Texas. Was it FS1 a couple years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, what? that's like your Big Ten Network game.
Didn't you think, though, that people were pissed off more, though, just because it kind of disrespected the game more than having trouble watching the game on that channel?
Definitely. It was a perception thing.
It was a
this
pride
game should
thing.
be on ABC.
Yeah. Like, how does this game fall that Fox Sports won?
No, I definitely think that it was more of that than the...
See, that wasn't a redneck kick voice.
Because there's a lot of games that it's like it's still a cable network.
Here, I mean, look, I'm always one of these roll with the punches guys. The Pac-12 network is an abomination. It's a disaster. The Big 12 needs to start courting Arizona and Arizona State right now. Get them out of the Pac-12. That's your closest. Well, I guess that's your closest. Colorado being somewhere, but I mean, realistically, I'd take a trip to Arizona every year.
It's easy travel, that's for sure. I don't know though. By 2025, I could see OU just saying, "Screw it, we don't want to be a part of this anymore."
I hope that they.
But I have no idea where college football as a whole is going to be in 6 years, let alone.
I have no idea who the president of OU will be at that point.
Yeah, probably not going to be James Gallogly.
The way it's going.
I think that's my guess is that we're at least one new boss between now and then, maybe two. It feels like this could be just chaotic.
Okay, so
I will say though, a lot of the stuff that has landed at Gallogly's feet though is also some of it's been self-inflicted, but there's a lot of it that
it's just modern day
he got-
college bullshit.
yeah.
Snowflakey.
Oh, that's I don't know enough of the inner workings to even try to claim that I know the level in which he's operating in his job. But I feel like when things start roughly kind of in, not jeopardy, but just chaotically, they tend to end the same way. Like, I don't feel like it feels like the boat never stops rocking. Like, it just kind of stays that way, and then it ends, and then, somebody else can kind of pick up the pieces, even if it's just a perception deal, like, well, this change helps just because it's change.
I just think I'm just so glad I don't go to college in this day and age. I just think it just seems so soft to me. It just seems
The whole
so much
thing.
worse. I mean, like, there were rallies and, crazy hellfire and brimstone preachers when I would go to, at OU when I was there, but like there wasn't nearly as much butthurt on campus as there seems to be now.
No, there's no doubt about that.
I mean, there was stuff.
There's no doubt
there was
about
stuff that I've talked about this before. Like, there was stuff where they had like a Native American teepee exhibit all over campus, and there was someone going and peeing on them all the time. Like, that caused an uproar, and there was a lot of Native American
School would
uproar
be canceled
stuff.
these days if that happened.
I'm telling you, it's just. I mean, and SAE was banned while I was there for doing stupid stuff. I mean, that's one constant. SAE, if it has a house on campus, it won't for long. That's decades old now. Sorry, SAEs. I'm not ripping you.
No comment. I know some good dudes.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just it's like I said. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts nowadays. There's a lot of things, even to like just tie it all back into what we started with as far as the Cubs thing. There is a lot of moving parts in this world right now.
All right, Josh, you spent yesterday on the recruiting trail. Appreciate that. I don't even know how long that would have taken you as far in the ocean as you live in Texas. Literally, that drive for me is like 2 hours and 45 minutes. I easily could have done it, and I offered to do it.
It was about four and some change, like 4:15, 4:20, and it was slowed down because, and I posted it on the board. And for anyone worrying, when I post on the board, I'm voice to texting. We're not staring at the phone or anything like that. That's why you get even more typos than is normal, which, we know my normal is going to have a few.
I mean, it's hard,
anyway,
when you have the whiskey bottle in your mouth, too.
Well, but I only shoot, every 50 miles. So it's not, I don't want anybody to think I'm getting crazy out there. But no,
trust me,
yeah,
I was just
hit
in Houston.
A brutal storm on the way up.
No one would know the difference if you're drinking whiskey and driving in Houston. Everyone's crazy there.
It's a little bit assumed, Here, you're just like, okay, he's only 3 drinks in. It should be fine.
Do you ever do the move where you go like 4 wide and then just cut in front of everybody and weave in and out of traffic?
I really try not to, but it's a really popular move down here. Like
I've never seen so many people do that move. Like, it's insane. Like, it's out of control in Houston now.
If I'm on a 4-lane highway and I'm in the fast lane and I'm like, oh, there's my exit, it does not occur to me, okay, are all 4 lanes clear? Okay, I'm just going to dash across my thought is, well, okay, how far up is the next exit? I'm just going to have to flip around. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind that, okay, well, I can just do this immediately and, risk be damned. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, it's going to cost me a couple minutes to go up here, flip around, and come back to the road I need.
You know why it is? Because you're not driving a souped-up Honda Civic.
Yeah.
That's the move you usually see from the souped-up Honda Civic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure.
Or the Hyundai.
Racing
or the
stripes on the
Hyundai
side.
drivers. You're not a... your car is not always in great shape, or truck, whatever you've driven has always been caved in at one point or another, Eddie. So, but I know you're not a terrible driver.
It's accusatory.
What I don't want to know is why it never gets fixed. I'll just say that.
I just need to do it. I don't have time. Too
but
busy.
I'm
too
just
busy.
saying, people in Hyundais, they're the new crazies.
Yeah.
Those are the worst drivers that are out there now. They've actually overtaken jacked up trucks.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think that I'm pretty sheltered in Oklahoma. I don't see it too often. I notice it more when I get out of the state.
Yeah, when you go down to Dallas and Houston.
I'm big on BMW. BMW tends
I saw
to
some
be a
good
bit of an asshole
douchebags.
driver.
Yeah, I saw some douchebags driving those in Houston.
Yep. There's
Just not
there's
enough
a
here.
Strong contingent.
Not enough BMW here.
And I see them, and every
Because
time
Ed
like, you get
Eskridge
leather racing
dominates the
gloves on.
landscape, Bob, and as he should. Go to Eskridge Lexus.
Dynamite plug.
Even the asshole drivers.
Boom.
You
That
can
one
get the
was for
F
free,
Sport
Ed.
series. That's free for you, Ed.
They have good seat belts.
And they sleep really well, from what I've heard, Eddie.
Probably.
Oh, Eddie's. There's just a permanent Eddie sleep divot in my passenger seat. From all
Is
those
Eddie your
long
most frequent
trips.
passenger?
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay, I figured he
Except
was.
now Bob has stolen his seat because he can't sit in the back seat. Allegedly, he can't sit in the back seat.
You don't want me thrown up.
Eddie's thrown up in there before. I don't frown.
Yeah,
on
there
it.
is precedent.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I got way off.
Yeah.
Josh on the
This
recruiting
podcast,
trail.
you can tell we're just going to be all over the place.
Well, on May 9th, if you wanted us to break down the
Starting roster.
the third string running backs on this team, you're probably
All right, here's why Jalen Hurts is going to win the third Heisman Trophy for the Sooners.
I love it. Let's do it. No. So yesterday, go up and I see Nate Anderson.
Not Alexander.
Not Alexander. And I really should explain this. For the people that saw it, I tweeted out twice, Nate Alexander. I'm literally typing his name into my phone after I take the video and I take the picture. Well, I was typing in Sooners O-line commitment, and my phone immediately pulls up Marcus Alexander.
I thought that might be the case.
So I type in Nate, and it's not that my phone did it. I just got Alexander in my head, and I just typed out Alexander. I did it both times, and I don't, like I said, it was just I got it in my head. And so apologies to Nate and his dad, who we've talked to a little bit the last couple of days, that kind of thing. But
can I tell the best part of this story is that
Sure.
This is like we give Eddie a lot of credit for being kind of a jack of all trades for things that he does, and not just quirks but things that we appreciate. We learn more and more about Bob Przybylo every day, and I know this because I've done it. And he saw the Alexander tweets, and I love how Bob does this because he does it to me too. If I'd screw up a tweet, he says, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know you put Alexander on those tweets. If you care about that sort of thing." It's very passive aggressive.
it's
Like,
loosely translated.
if you don't give
to,
a shit,
change it.
Yeah,
No,
if you don't
'cause
really care
here-
about your reputation, or
Eddie doesn't care because when I've said it to Eddie, Eddie
do not
doesn't care. So I've said,
People know who we're talking about.
You screwed
A name is different than just the misspelling or
Yes.
the wrong grammatical
or the wrong
grammatical error.
position
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
People know.
No, I love it. I love it when Bob does
We need that.
especially when I didn't screw it up, because it's this panic that goes through your body. You're just like, God damn it.
No, I'm sitting on the field and I'm like, son of a bitch. Like, and I just start immediately like, okay, delete that. Okay, redo it all over again. And of course, I'm typing in Sooners O-line commitment. No, not Alexander. Screw you, phone. Like, I had to like really focus on, nope, we're not going to hit that predictive text. We're going to keep moving. So, but to the actual player himself, as a good example, while I was there yesterday, I saw USC, I saw Texas A&M, I saw Texas Tech. Like, this is a guy that's not going away. I know a lot of people saw a 3-star offensive line commitment earlier this week and kind of thought, oh, what's OU doing here? They must be missing out on some targets. I've talked to a couple coaches that think he is a borderline top 100 guy in the country and maybe one of the better 5 to 10 tackles in the country. He is about 6'4", 6'4.5", longer than I expected him to. On tape, that was kind of my concern. Like, I didn't know if his arms were going to be okay. They're not. I mean, we're not talking about Orlando Brown. I mean, he can't, I don't know, bear hug a bear. I don't know where I was going with that. But, I mean, he has plenty of arm length. He has plenty of wingspan. He's fine. And then you put his feet into the equation, and he's as good moving laterally as anybody you'll see in this class. I mean, he is very, very athletic, a guy that played tight end, defensive end. He has a really good background as far as just being a guy that understands, or not understands, but just has the ability to get to the second level. He can turn a defensive end back inside. I really couldn't have been more impressed. I really think it's a really good evaluation by Bill Bedenbaugh, who I'm told will actually be there again today. So Oklahoma's more than aware that other schools are still working him and are still going to try. But I just talking to him, we did an interview, it'll be up here soon. I got the impression he's pretty set on Oklahoma, that he feels really good about that. He was talking about, okay, I would get one offer and okay, that's my leader. And then a new offer would come in and they're a little better and okay, they're my new leader. And he just kind of was like, but I got to the point where what's better than Oklahoma? And so I think the fans are going to like him a lot. He seems really excited about it. I wouldn't shock me if 5 months from now he's like, yeah, I want to go see a place or two, that kind of thing. But I think as long as OU stays on him, everything pretty much stays status quo, Oklahoma's in a pretty good spot with him.
Josh, you've been pretty consistent this week saying that Nate Anderson's going to be a much bigger recruit when it's all said and done. So what took so long? Why did the offer just come Saturday? What did he grow? Did his game? How did it change so that now he's become the huge name that he's become during the recent weeks?
I think a lot of people just didn't know about him, Bob. I mean, because people don't, like, he was telling me in his first game last year, he played the first half on offensive line, went into halftime, changed his jersey number, and played the second half at tight end. So, like, this isn't a guy that was, Reedy said, okay, you're going to be our right tackle all season long. It only happened because of an injury. And even then, you could tell the coaches from what he was explaining were just kind of dipping their toe to see how it would go. Well, then going into the second game, they're like, okay, you're going to play tackle for us. They realized pretty quickly that maybe we've really got something here. And so he played tackle. You watch his tape. He's dominating people, but it's what we talk about all the time, Bob. Like, there's these guys like Jace McClellan and Drew Sanders, and, you go around the list or, go around the country and you can find all kinds of names that are well known when they're freshmen. And I think there becomes a perception that, they were really good when they were young. They must be still better than everybody else. But then there's guys like Nate Anderson who just kind of either they find their position or they grow into their body or, any of 100 other things. But it's later in the game, so people have trouble kind of saying, oh, no, he is really good. He's as good as these other guys. We just didn't know about him 2 years ago because someone brought it up on the board the other day. Well, he's a plan B guy for Oklahoma. I guess if you want to make that argument, you can technically, because when OU offered the plan A guys, Nate Anderson was playing defensive end. So I don't know how you blame OU for not having known about him, But I can tell you, talking to people and talking to coaches on other staffs as well, there are a lot of people that are very high on him and his potential.
I don't know how you couldn't be a type of person right now with what Bill Beabo's done down there. If they offered a 5'2", 145-pound kid,
Yes.
you're like, all right, well, I
have a chance.
I don't see it.
I don't know.
I don't see it, but they're going to do something with him, right?
Oh, no.
I mean, that's the crazy side of it. But
the board would never let that.
No, I'm not saying they're going to offer a 5'2" kid. I mean, they're not going to go out and offer the next Eddie Radosevich that can't play. But I'm saying, like, there has to be some. They're not just taking kids to be taking bodies, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, I get what you mean. Like, if there's any guy that should have currency, that if he makes an offer to a kid, it's Bill Bedenbaugh. Like, you should believe that, now, obviously, if it gets to the point that he offers a 5'2", 150-pound kid, we have to start worrying, like, is his brain and mental, are all his mental functions there?
Yeah, you start wondering what the hell's going on.
Then there might be something
Is he stroking out
problematic
right now?
Yeah.
Exactly. Did he have a stroke at the time of this offer? Those are valid concerns. But a 6'4", 260-pound guy that's got great tape, I don't know what you're doubting. Like, just let it happen. I promise this guy, if he'll buy in, do the things that Bedenbaugh's going to want him to do, he's going to be fine. And he may end up being really, really good. I quoted on the board, I literally had a coaching friend say, I've been all over the country. This guy may be the best tackle in the country.
Did you get the sense by any chance that could he be one of those foundation guys in the 2020 class?
I think he could be. Now, he's got to...
And it's scary to say that with anybody right now in the world of recruiting, but...
Sure.
There has to be a couple guys in each class that are like that.
And there's not at this moment.
No, I mean... and we'll get into that in a second because I kind of talked to Ryan Watts about who he was working on, and he only had one guy, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I mean, he is a kid that is the two things he'll have to battle, because when you look at those foundational guys, they're almost always highly rated, they're well known. He's neither right now, so he's going to have to kind of, he needs companies like Rivals and 24/7, everybody else to catch up and be like, holy crap, this guy's really good. And frankly, right now it's Rivals. I think 24/7 and ESPN both have him in their, top 250, top 300, whatever it may be. So Rivals needs to get to work on that. But I think aside from that, he's clearly enthusiastic about Oklahoma. He's bought into where he fits into that program. I sent out the picture yesterday. He's like, I need a new profile picture. And like, A&M and Tech are about 10 feet to my right when I take that picture. I'm like, I really hope they think I didn't tell him to throw the horns down. Cause he was like, he walked up to me early in practice. He goes, I need to take a new profile pic. And he did the horns down. I'm like, okay, cool, man, whatever. And I was about to leave and I was like, hey, if you want to do that, during a break, let's do it. And so he walks over and he does the same thing. And I was like, God, I flagged him down. They're going to think that I was initiating this whole thing. Not that A&M or Tech particularly care about the horns down, but just kind of fanboy crap. And I'm like, So that was my troubling part as I walked away from practice yesterday.
Little uncomfortable. What was the other half of your visit to the DFW area was to see Ryan Watts, cornerback, obviously from Little Elm. I know you didn't get to see a lot of him because the weather wasn't cooperating with the rain and they were inside, but what were your conversations with him like?
Well, talking to him, it was my first time to speak with him directly. I mean, we've DM'd a lot and, texted and that kind of stuff, but it was my first time to really talk to him. And he is just a kid that, he's confident, but it didn't come off it comes off very easy to like. Like, he's like, I want to be perfect. I want to be and you're like, usually when kids say stuff about it, I'm like, man, you got a long way to go. Just tap the brakes a little bit. But it was just like, I want to get better. And he, and so I really liked what he had to say. I will say what I thought was really interesting and was kind of a thing that happened right before I did the interview with him yesterday is Brandon Carr, the longtime NFL DB from Grand Valley State, was there for some reason. This was at a local kind of private indoor facility that the school had rented basically for 2 hours so the guys could work out in the middle of all this rain in Dallas yesterday. Well, I don't know why Brandon Carr happened to be there, but he walks up and he's talking to Ryan, and he's kind of finding out about him and that kind of stuff. And he's, just kind of giving him some advice. Well, all of a sudden, Ryan's mother wants to take a picture next with them together. So they kind of get up next to each other. And Brandon Carr, like I said, a long-time NFL DB, puts his arm around Watts, and he kind of looks and he goes, damn, you're a corner, man? Like, you could tell he was like, this kid's huge. And Brandon Carr's a big guy in his own right. He's 6'1", and Watts is at least an inch and a half taller than he is. I mean, he is everything that he's advertised to be. I kind of thought I might get there, and he's 6'1" in a little bit. If he's not 6'3", he's close. And he is long-armed, long-legged. And I kind of thought, okay, now that I've seen him, he's going to look like a safety when he moves around. No, man, he can absolutely play corner if that's where OU wants him. And that's what he told me yesterday, is that all the talk is corner. But I will say, he was like, I played safety as a sophomore. I didn't want to move to corner as a junior. I kind of did it because my coaches asked me to. And I don't care where I play. So I think a lot of people have tried to, if OU wants to move into safety, he's going to be, shaky about it. He doesn't care. He really was like, whatever gets me on the field, I don't care if I'm safety or corner. That doesn't matter to me at all. But he told me that they see him as corner. That's what they're talking about.
As a lifetime Cowboys fan, I'm going to tell you that story gave me a boner. Eddie, get out of my chair. I'm going to need that.
You'll have plenty of time when the NFL playoffs start to do whatever you need, because the Cowboys won't be playing in it.
Whew, that's not nice. But no,
do you even have an NFL team?
All right, now I'm a free agent right now.
It was the Cardinals last, right?
Yep, and it still might be with Kyler now.
You didn't grow up with the NFL team though?
Not really.
It's weird.
You were a Patriots fan when I met you.
Yeah, that was more like of a bandwagon. I like Tom Brady, but I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I'm a free agent right now.
Anybody that would own something like that. Yeah,
I'm a fan of whoever I have bet on Sunday. How about that?
And Eddie, one of the first times we ever talked, Josh made a pretty bold prediction that a lot of people laughed at and ended up right. Let's, not forget that.
What's that?
The Giants beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Called it. Called that to happen.
Yeah, the NFL needed that.
I got to be honest with you.
That was set up.
Josh has probably got a reason to be the cockiest out of all of us right now. More so than the Bears. Pretty good draft, by the way.
Yeah, at least the Colts have some. They're going to be.
If Andrew Luck is healthy,
probably a top 10.
Staring at a really good year.
Just got to get a kicker for the Bears. We're good.
After dealing with Ryan Grigson for 4 years, I don't really know what to do with the draft, because I'm like, he's going to make good decisions. Like, I don't even have to watch it and get pissed off. Like, why did we draft the white linebacker from Iowa that ran 5 flat at his, because Grigson likes that the kid lifts a lot of weights. Like, I don't, God, that was a train wreck. And now watching a front office that knows what it's doing and makes good decisions, you're like, wow, that's really nice. That's great. We get random free agents that are really good. God, I'm going to blank on his name. Kid from Oklahoma State that went to Detroit.
The tight end?
Not Oklahoma State. Yeah, I'm convinced. The tight end that had the great year for the Colts. I'm just blanking on his name right now.
Big fan you are.
Yeah, I know. It's really embarrassing.
Talking about from Stanford?
No, God dang, that's just going to piss me off. Hold. Eric Ebron. God, couldn't. Yeah. I just couldn't get there.
It's bizarre that the tight end has almost disappeared in college football, yet great ones just keep entering the NFL that you'd never heard of all the time.
They take those guys that are the kind of. Mark Andrews is a great example. He's not technically that true tight end, but he does enough to get away with it.
They're not as stupid as Chase Kaufman was, basically.
Sure. Yeah.
That was my favorite Hard Knocks, is just watching Chase Kaufman just getting killed by.
What year would that have been? Was that Houston?
No, it had. I think that was
Bengals.
Oh, it was Bengals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably the one JD got cut in. I think that was the same.
Was
year.
it?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Bears when he got cut in.
No, it
No,
was,
he
the
was the
Bengals.
Bengals.
I knew that.
Okay.
Well, it was Jay, what's his name, that was coach at OU in 99. Diabetes guy. Had a brother.
Yeah.
Like Jay Hayes?
Yeah, Hayes. Yeah, John Hayes.
Jonathan Hayes.
Jonathan
Jonathan
Hayes,
Hayes.
yeah.
I think he just got the an XFL job, if I remember correctly.
He did.
Which
I don't remember what
It's one of
city,
the-
but yeah,
Yeah.
he
It was
did.
interesting seeing Bob Stoops hire Chris Woods as his defensive coordinator. I mean, everybody I knew always talked real highly of him.
Yeah. And I would imagine that's a pretty good situation for him because he was at Texas State. I would think that's
Comparable pay.
basically, yeah.
I mean, he was a QC guy at OU forever.
Hell, it might even be a little bit of a step up, right?
Might be.
From being a
Texas
DC
State.
at Texas State. And I think he got fired, so. Not fired, but like that staff got fired because what's his name? The head coach now.
Yeah, he left, right?
Spavital, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
The head coach now.
retweeting a lot of Kansas stuff. I'm not saying he was with Les Miles' staff, but
He might have been on like
he was doing a lot of Kansas stuff.
gonna be a analyst or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that's what he was here in Norman, wasn't he? He was a defensive analyst.
Yes, yeah.
Or
QC guy. I mean,
yeah, quality control technically.
I know one thing that's been talked about on the board, and I loved Eddie's response to the initial tweet was Jace McClellan. I don't want to start any rumors or anything. And Eddie's response was, "Sir, that's exactly how rumors start." But Seth McGowan is still a guy that's been out there, and I think people noticed that Sam Spiegelman changed him recently on his crystal ball prediction to OU. But any kind of updates, Josh? There with Seth. Just having his top 4 released last week too.
Was it 4 or 5, Bob? I think it was 4.
It's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
4.
so it was OU, A&M, Georgia, and who's the 4th? I'm forgetting.
USC?
Is that right?
For
yeah.
McGowan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Is that
OU.
right?
It was Oklahoma, A&M, USC, and Georgia.
Yep.
And let's
Okay.
just say Sam's article had a lot more about OU than pretty much any other team.
Yeah. I get the impression talking to a lot of people, both around Poteet, talking to Sam a little bit after that interview, and I've talked to Seth some through the last few weeks. I think if he picked right now, Oklahoma would be the leader, but obviously he just came off. It's official. That kind of makes sense if you think about it. But I will say he is a midterm guy, so you're going to see an early decision. I think he's really wanting to get these visits out of the way and then get this done. I was told the reason Stanford didn't make that list is because he cannot enroll early at Stanford. Like, that's how serious he is about this. This is a guy that is actually going to finish top 10 in his class and is pissed off about it because he wants to be valedictorian, but because basically he's going to lose out to people in the band because they can take honors band and they get credits that he doesn't get because there's no such thing as honors athletics, which is a really interesting. I've never heard this come up before, but this. So I mean, just to kind of put a
Kind of incredible is what it is.
You guys have
Yeah.
not seen. My nephew is in Texas high school band. It is ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Shit, look at
Ridiculous.
I mean, one of the best tweets of all time. I think it was Matt Stepp or somebody took a picture of that Allen band going over the bridge down in Waco for one of the state semifinals or finals, and it said something to the effect of they're coming to like take over the town, and it's just like a mob of people, like a sea of
It's
people.
a racket, man. It's crazy.
the band is Allen's band is. I mean, like it's just like everything else at Allen. It's completely over the top and massive. But no, as far as McGowan, I think OU's in really good shape. And the thing I want to really make clear to everybody when I talk to various people, and this is, really almost unanimous, and with some of the people I talk to, Seth McGowan is criminally underappreciated by most fans, in my opinion. He is a guy that a lot of people think probably is maybe a notch below Zach Evans, but anybody else in the state, they'd stack Seth McGowan right with him. So, Jace McClellan, Ty Jordan, you run down the list of all the great backs in Texas this year, they think Seth is right there with any of those guys. So, and when you talk about that and how good that group is, that puts him in that conversation with the Kendall Miltons, the Chris Tyrees. I mean, this is a guy that, from what I can gather, Oklahoma really, really wants. So I think the visit you want to watch is in a couple weeks to Georgia. Obviously, Georgia's already stung Oklahoma a couple times this year. that's a win that Oklahoma, A, wants and B, kind of needs. So that's a guy that is really going to be key to this summer going the way Oklahoma wants it to in recruiting. And I will say, I said I was going to mention it earlier, that's the guy Ryan Watts told me he's really focused on. He's really trying to work him hard. They talk a lot, and Watts is trying to get him, up to Oklahoma with him.
Just hope he doesn't visit Athens on any other day. You would hope that he visits on a Sunday because you can't cash the check. But then again, it'd be more of a cash situation, I'm sure.
Oh, the roots of the Nick Saban tree, Eddie, those are grown off just purity and innocence, and we all know that. So that's
amen.
All those guys, Jeremy Pruitt,
very faith related.
Yes, it's they recruit, based on their faith and just their,
it's really,
like I said, just
same with Dabo.
It's really a holistic approach.
Same with Dabo.
Yes. Dabo's so interesting because you believe everything and then you see the stuff that's said in that NCAA thing that's going on with basketball and you're like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah, why would they do it for basketball and not for football? That would make no sense.
I've said it before, and
when their basketball team's been awful and their football team's the best in the country.
I've said it before, and I think it rings true. Anytime that you present faith as much as somebody like Dabo does, you're hiding something, and that's just a personal opinion. It's not saying anything on a blanket statement about anybody, but it makes you wonder.
Hugh Freeze says you're full of shit, Eddie.
Huh?
I said Hugh Freeze says you're full of shit.
Yeah, well, we got a couple dead hookers that I wish they could talk.
Yeah, he wouldn't
going down
say
the Craig
like
James
that.
route.
You're not full enough of faith, is what Hugh would say.
Mm-hmm.
I was always suspicious of Houston Nutt for the very same reasons.
Oh, Houston Nutt's a saint.
He's the one that's genuine.
He's a genuine saint.
I remember back in the mid 2000s, Arkansas was always the school that I would hear stuff like, yeah, Oklahoma feels pretty good about this guy, but they got to get through that in-home with Arkansas, and it was like Tony Hugo, Vakel Vaughn, some of those like guys that only our old-time listeners are going to even remember, but they were big battles for OU, and you're like, how is OU having a battle with Arkansas for Texas kids? It never made sense.
You could get Peyton Hillis.
Sure. Or Matt Jones. You got to fight for an Arkansas kid. I get that. But a DFW
we know
kid,
that there wasn't enough cocaine in Norman for Matt Jones.
Yeah. I wonder, yeah. I think he got gatewayed somewhere along the way.
It's always funny to look at, you bring up Arkansas as a good example. It's like, they had 2010 they go 10-3, 2011 they go 11-2, 2006 they go 10-4. Outside of those 3 years, there's a lot of 5-7s, a lot of 8-5s. Those are kind of like the highs and lows of Arkansas football.
That's kind of their history, though. They
put it together for 1 or 2 seasons and then just drop off the face of the planet.
Coach will leave, like Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
Only the old.
It's not a destination job. No matter how many people in Arkansas want to believe otherwise, it's just not. And
all their best
guy has enough success, he leaves.
Yeah, and all their best coaches from Arkansas had success somewhere else. Switzer, Jimmy Johnson,
Malzahn.
Oh, Gus.
Well, they didn't want Malzahn.
Well,
they
that
basically ran him out of town, didn't they?
Yeah, they didn't want a high school coach coaching their team.
And that that goes right into what we're kind of saying about that entire fan base is they have higher expectations than what reality is, I think. Josh, just to clarify as far as the running back stuff, what does the Josh McCuistion big board look like for Oklahoma as far as running backs? If nobody was committed, take Jace McClellan out of the picture, and we'll throw Zach Evans out of the picture as well. Who would be your big board?
I think if everybody's being honest and realistic, it probably starts with Kendall Milton. I think the difference that I want people to recognize is I think he's like a 1, and then you've got McGowan and McClellan and Tyree is like 1B, 1C. I think everybody wants there to be this huge gap, and while they're all different guys, I think McGowan and Milton are actually pretty comparable in the way they do things. They're both very good as receivers, big, sturdy guys. I mean, I know somebody, even aside from Sam, that had seen McGowan recently, and he's like 215. And you look at that picture of him in the Gallogly picture, he is a massive guy. Like, I mean, this is a, you know, I hesitate to compare anybody to Samaje, but like, he's moving in that direction, like just a big, sturdy guy. And I think he has a little more burst than a guy like Samaje did. So, like I said, I think McGowan's just a little underappreciated. But Milton would probably be number one, and then you're looking at those other three. And the interesting question to me is Oklahoma dead set on taking 3 running backs? 2 is automatic. They're going to take 2. But, like, if say they get, you know, McGowan and McClellan, or McGowan, you know, McGowan and Milton, you know, however you want to mix it up, of the 3 that are kind of every down type backs, and they don't get Tyree. Well, are they dead set? Do they jump back and go after a guy like Ty Jordan, who's kind of that same speed guy that they want to get out in space? Or do they just say, okay, we're good with 2. We'll use that scholarship on a offensive lineman or a, you know, running back, not running back, but, you know, use it somewhere else on the roster? Or are they going to say, okay, we have to have a guy here that can kind of fulfill that role? I tend to think Tyree's a little bit of a luxury. I don't know that they have to go to their plan B of a guy like that. I think Tyree's just so good, so fast, and they see a lot of ways they can use him that they want him, but it's not a role that they have to have filled.
By the way, I want to thank everybody for kind of coming to our aid a little bit when it came to the ratings and reviews section. We were getting miserable a little bit, but now we have over 500 ratings on iTunes, 461 5-star ratings. That's pretty nice. So a legit 5-star rating. I was a little confused by some of the reviews that we had. One in particular from BQ Sick. I don't know. He said, love the show. You guys are great. Listen to the show every week with an exclamation point.
Awesome.
All right.
1-star rating from him.
Oh,
I respect that.
Maybe he's.
I guarantee that was an accident.
Maybe he's just saying you're number 1 type thing.
So he put us into double digits in
That's fine.
1-star ratings.
That's cool.
We're at 10 now.
Hey, it's better than no stars.
I did think this is one of the most artistic reviews of all time. Great pod. It's from J Matthews 5. Great content. Can't help but love Eddie. Carey takes a lot of heat, and although I'd trust Tyreek Hill to watch my kids more than I would Carey, I do find him to be enjoyable to listen to as well.
How about that?
Am I really that bad about kids and children?
Did you have to send a check to get that?
This is why Tiffany took the kids away last week, right?
I'm excited about a review I found where I'm lumped in with Eddie.
I noticed that one too. Yeah.
Wow.
Go ahead, let the world know.
My dog Skip. Excellent Sooner talk, but crude. The Sooner talk is as high quality as talking with my most informed Sooner fan friends at our fave bar.
Okay.
Love their knowledge on players, recruiting, team news. Bob is so underrated. He has so many good takes, but no one pays him any attention. Checks in the mail from Bob. Eddie and Josh are too crude, so I can't listen to this with my kids. Change in capital letters with an exclamation mark. But we got 5 stars, so
change. I will say this:
like,
you called someone a dickhole last week, and I didn't. I thought about beeping it out. I was like, that's a little, that's a little strong, but I'll let it go.
Josh,
maybe that's what he's
riled
thinking.
up. Who did Josh
I need
get
to
riled
know
up about?
Do people listen to podcasts with their kids in the car
Yes.
a lot? Like, is that a thing?
Driving, probably.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is obviously why.
Well, I mean, they're taking their kids to school, or they're just going. They're
just
going
wait
to
till
work.
they get out of the car, and they could maybe learn a couple things.
I don't know. You and I are
From
both
old
on.
Uncle Ed.
You and I are both on morning shows in the market. I don't think it gets any better if he turns on his radio.
Either or, as long as you're listening to one of us, we're fine. through one of the 3 facets we give you in the morning.
The only time I do is if the girls have their iPads. So if they're watching, Moana or whatever it is. It's Layla is obsessed with Inside Out right now. That's a weird one. I don't know where that came from, but if they're watching those, then I'll listen to pretty much whatever I want to. Generally, though, while the kids are in the car, I'm going to listen to, we're listening to Disney radio or whatever it is that.
Yeah, I mean,
that
Pardon My
Lainey
Take is not a children in the car podcast.
Yes, the perfect story. I usually am listening to it while I'm getting around in the morning, and then the girls wake up and I mute it or whatever, So I was listening the other day. Well, I get in the car and my car automatic, it syncs to my phone. It immediately starts playing whatever I'm listening to. Well, they were talking to somebody about hockey. Oh, it was their hockey pod guy, and they're talking, and the first thing he says is something about a rabbit punch. And Lainey goes, "Daddy, what's a rabbit punch?" I'm like, "Oh God!"
Should have said, "Look it up, honey."
Yeah, I was like, well, hon,
look up Urban Dictionary on your iPad.
Yeah, it was. And she's like, Lainey's really close to reading, so that's going to open up a whole new box of dangers for me. So, yeah, it's going to get interesting in the McQuistion house.
Don't tell her what an Alabama Hot Pocket is.
God,
whatever you do.
No. I'm just really
It makes me
hoping
uncomfortable
this
hearing
moment-
you tell him that to tell his daughter
See?
that. I can't imagine talking about
That's where
that.
the review's coming from.
Damn it. Change.
Well, maybe now that your voice is so much more sultry, they won't think you're the crude. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he just heard, oh, that guy sounds good. That can't be Josh.
That it could be. You're right. Do you know the weird? Lainey kept seeing the picture of Nate Anderson the other day, and she goes, "Is that you, Daddy?" And I was like,
Interesting.
God, no, that, like, what? That doesn't look like. And I asked Tiffany, I was like, "Does that kid look like?" I don't think he does, and she's like, "No."
Your kid.
And then I asked, she said it like 3 times. It's weird.
Your kid might be racist against white people.
Oh, I was gonna say
She might
we got
think all white
Creed,
people look alike.
We got Creed and Carey, now Nate and Josh, and
Ooh, I like this. I like that you can take some of the onus off of me and Creed.
Well, we can poll the board. They can discuss this topic if we look alike. There is no questioning that there is a strong Humphrey Murdoch resemblance. It's there.
I do like this review.
moving on.
Yeah. From Schmidt OKC, 5 stars. Real bleep dudes talking football. OU football cursing, 5 stars.
Good synopsis.
Ooh,
That
Eddie.
kind of describes our pod. And yeah, you got that word out.
Did you like that?
You can't pronounce
I had
McQuestion, but you did that fine.
I had been practicing it the entire time.
Josh, does it
Yeah,
bother you that he calls you McQuestion?
McQuestion.
I was gonna
McQuestion.
talk about it. It's been
Josh
10
M.
years that
Josh
Eddie's been with
M.
us. He still can't say my damn name.
Listen, I've said it before. When you grow up with Radosevich, you don't really pay attention to
But
last
that's
names.
not fair. Like, your name is very difficult to learn how to say in the first place. Or, like, yeah, it's just like with our big voice guy, there's Eddie Radosevich.
Still the greatest.
Like, there's a lot of pacing that goes with saying your name correctly. You think the least that you could do is get McQuestion right.
And I went the other way. Bob, you have to weigh in on this because you've obviously I think you have the most complex name of all of us. But
Just to spell.
you're right. You're right. But because my name was butchered so much as a kid,
I wanted to
I've
get
always
others
tried
right.
to get other people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the way I went with it. So don't get me wrong. I think it's very on brand for Eddie to be like, I just learned to not give a shit.
Basically.
Yeah. It's okay.
If you care, this I'm putting in our text message. If you care, Eddie, that's not how you.
Oh, care, Bob.
Yeah. No.
No, I do. I just
that's
stumble
Go ahead.
over it.
that's as Bob gets. Carey is absolutely right. Like, Bob's not going to just call you out, but he's going to be like, it's Bob's version of, hey, look, dumbass.
Yeah, I like it.
That's how I read it in my mind.
It's a good
Yes.
compliment to the wrestler because Eddie, he will destroy you and just tell you straight to your face that you're a f up or you
Well,
fucked
I'll
We
up.
say
should give
that,
Eddie
but-
a moment. We should give Eddie a moment to yell at me about the constant accidental retweets of Scoop. Like
That's the one thing that
just
will
goes up, and then
that will that
There's
is
no doubt when it happens that it is you.
yeah. No, I know
I have
that
a system, and
I
I've
haven't
tried to
done
get
it.
all of you to follow it, which is when because I'm always either on the Scoop account or my account, so I don't want to mess up. So I take the tweet, I send it to our group DM, and because I know if you just click on the tweet, it'll switch you to the Sooner Scoop account, and you'll end up retweeting it. But Josh never follows my AP standard.
I'll do
Since
that.
we've done that, I do it a lot less. It's been much better.
That's true.
For a while there, it was a damn epidemic.
That is
I
true.
was doing. I'd be like, shit, and I'd do it and realize it. So
It is great when you see a Sooner Scoop tweet tweeted out, and immediately it has one retweet, and it's from Sooner Scoop.
You'll know who has done it.
Yeah,
Like,
everybody listening, if that's happened, it was Josh. There's no doubt.
We all have our quirks.
That
I want you
Eddie-
guys. I want you guys to know way too much more about technology than you care about.
Oh my God! Tell me what I need to know. I don't need to know why the f-stop is not perfect at this.
Well,
particular
we're currently
lighting.
dealing with a server situation that I know Eddie could give two shits about.
You should have
I
heard.
just need to utilize it.
You should have heard Carey before we started, Josh.
He was talking about numbers and
numbers
words
and
that I've
letters.
never heard of.
I knew that I could say things that would make it sound like I wasn't even speaking English.
Might as well have been speaking Spanish.
So I just said our new server has M2 2280 NVMe SSDs.
Yeah,
in 'em.
exactly.
Two of them.
I'm
I just
sorry,
blacked
Not just
out.
one, but
Yeah.
but two.
I fainted for a second. I'm back. What are we talking about?
See, nobody. It's taken me 2 days to set this shit up, and nobody cares. I just want someone to say like, "That's
it looks
awesome.
good. Yeah, it looks great.
It's very blinky."
Do you know my biggest thing, Carey?
Yeah.
Was last night I was like, "What? Do I upload this the same?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Cool. I don't even know anything else. I don't talk. I don't want to hear it. Just tell me where to put it." Wait.
And then I set up.
Wait a minute.
I was so excited about our Office suite that we now have to use, and I couldn't get you bastards to sign up for it. And then I had to be like, "Please sign up for this." And then everyone went into chat once, and then they've never been back.
because there hasn't been anything to chat about.
Yeah.
Is it replacing Twitter? I mean,
No,
I
it
wasn't
will never
sure.
replace Twitter because that's where we have
I
to
would have
live.
I would have done it on Tuesday, but I was busy.
But during the season when we need to send big files and stuff like that, and Eddie needs audio
That
for
makes
this,
sense.
yeah,
we'll be using it.
I went to a concert this week. You should be happy
we
with that.
should
boy.
talk about your third,
boy.
your first non-Kings of Leon concert. I was very proud of you.
It was a good time. It was a fun time.
Did you not go to I thought you'd been to Tech 9 and stuff like that before.
I forgot about that. I have been to Tech 9 in Tulsa.
So it was your fourth
It's
concert.
my fourth concert, yeah.
And it
Carey has
sounds-
a better running stock of your concerts than you
I do. That's pretty sad.
I forgot about that. It was a good time. It was fun. That was the
So
first
you've
time
been
I'd
to-
been to Zoo Amphitheater.
You've seen Kings of Leon in Tulsa, in Oklahoma City, and you've seen Tech 9 in Tulsa, and you've seen the Killers in Oklahoma City now.
And the 1999 KJ 103 Summer Party Block Fest. Woo! Which was fun.
Oh, I bet all those radio station promotion
But
people
I'm pretty
were
sure
just,
that we left early because I had a baseball game or something.
So, Eddie, can you confirm or deny the reasons you don't remember Tech 9 very well?
No, I just completely forgot. It was a very forgettable experience.
Okay, I thought
It's like 3 songs in. I was like, why the hell are we here?
and was it at Canes?
Yeah, I think so. I want to say it was.
No, Tech 9 at Canes. That had to be a mine.
Yeah, it was interesting.
There were probably a lot of confused people at that concert.
Yes, I thought it was
Mainly the 3 white
metal-
kids, but yeah. The 3 white kids from Oklahoma City.
So it really wasn't bad driving home.
No, it wasn't bad at all. It rained most of the time while we were there, so it wasn't
did you
too bad
enjoy
at all.
it at least?
Yeah,
Did
it was
you-
fun.
did you
It was a
get
lot of time.
fired
It was
up?
a lot of
Was it
fun.
Hair of the back of your neck stand up when they started playing.
No, not really, but it was. I will say this: Tuesday night concerts. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
yeah, just I would have wished it was on a Friday or a Saturday
Yeah.
to really
It's a problem with Oklahoma City. You
be able
don't
to
get
drink
a
a
lot
little
of those.
bit.
Yeah.
And I had a beer while I was there, but it wasn't.
You want to talk about football games? At least football games are on Saturdays when you
Yeah,
can drink and
for sure.
imbibe, and then you don't have to worry about the consequences the next
Sundays
day.
sometimes too.
Well,
This
yeah,
year.
no. But you got Monday off, so it's just like it's a Saturday.
I guess the public does. We don't,
Yeah.
which will be kind of weird. But
They don't want to hear us complain about
yeah, it's not.
that,
That's a first world don't care problem.
Yeah.
kind
They
of
already
thing.
think we have the dream job.
Before we get out of here, I think we do we need to talk about the Chris Steele thing, because there has been some information that came out as far
Sure,
as why
yeah.
he's in the transfer portal now. This is from Gatorsports.com. I don't know who that's affiliated with. Zach Abelverdi is the one reporting this, but it says that his decision stems from a request. Chris Steele, who's the 5-star cornerback from California, made to the staff during his first month on campus. He asked to be moved from a different dorm because he was uncomfortable rooming with quarterback Jalen Jones, his classmate, who, of course, was accused of 2 sexual assaults, I think, in one night.
In 30 minutes.
Within 30 minutes of
Yes.
each other,
Ugh.
which is getting busy. But so I guess he goes to Florida, to the coaching staff, says he wants to get out of the dorm with him, wants to change rooms, and Florida never did anything. That's why he's now in the transfer portal, which obviously connects back to Oklahoma and their recruitment of Steele. Bob or Josh, is there any reason to think that Oklahoma would throw their hat back in the ring, considering it would be a new staff recruiting him to Oklahoma? And I think that his situation is 100% what the NCAA is looking for as far as a reason why he would get immediate cancer, and they haven't denied him yet. So
That's
like the
yeah. I mean, well, but at least Tate got his. I mean, that
yeah,
was
well,
important.
of course,
Because
Yeah.
everybody needs to get that transfer so the fans can boo them in their spring game.
obviously.
Yeah. But no, I've tried to think of the connections. Like Steele was never that serious with Ohio State
Nope.
when Grinch was there. Roy Manning wasn't. I mean, UCLA, I guess, like you could. I'm sure there was some, conversation. I'm sure they've met or whatever. But I mean, he wasn't even coaching the position. So like, I don't know how much there could have been.
This would have to be Lincoln if he really liked
That's
him.
really the only existing connection that OU would really have is Lincoln. And as active as Lincoln is, there's a connection. Like, I mean, there's no doubt he was involved there. That's that's something possible. Now, you also have to remember Chris Steele is really close with Buki. So there's something to be said there. So, I wouldn't rule it out or anything, because obviously Chris is a really talented guy, but I don't think it's as obvious. Like, when the Justin Fields things happened, you were like, okay, this makes sense. Like, you can kind of connect those dots. With Steele, by the time he decided, OU was such an afterthought that I don't know if there wouldn't be 2 or 3 other schools that would kind of be at the front of the line for him.
So basically, is what you're saying is probably not, but definitely in today's world of recruiting, you never say no. You never say
Exactly.
there's completely no connection. That makes
Exactly.
sense.
I wouldn't rule it out.
I would
but
say-
it's unlikely.
Yeah, I would say OU would just be interested from the standpoint that they know they need defensive backs.
Yeah, they have something to offer, but then again, they have something to offer for whoever wants to play defensive back.
Speaking of high-profile recruits transferring, what did you guys think of our guy Woody Womack's word on Tavian Feaster last night?
Yeah, the Clemson running back.
Yep. I mean, former Rivals 250, just outside the 100 guy a couple years ago.
It doesn't
confuses
make
me.
sense just in that there's one position that Oklahoma doesn't seem like they need right now, and especially a guy that would contribute in 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, they have 2,000-yard backs returning. Why would they need another running back?
If you don't take Ramondre Stevenson, I sort of get it. But you're going to have 5 running backs.
Yeah, and if
I don't know.
with the kids that you're recruiting, I mean, you've got pick of the litter with recruits right now. I don't know that you want to do anything to hurt that, because you want to bring in 2 running backs. If you bring him,
Well, he's done. He's a grad transfer, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's a one-and-done guy, Carey. He'll be out So he shouldn't.
Oh, I
affect
see what you're
recruiting.
saying. Okay.
But I do wonder what it does to that room.
Like Pledger,
Yeah.
People like it's like, wait a minute, you don't. You
That's the guy I think that would be the big loser right now.
Like,
Is
I'm not
TJ
good enough.
Pledger.
You're going to bring in this guy.
Yep. That I agree completely with Eddie. I think that's the guy that you'd even look at and say, okay, does he think about doing something different?
And I don't know, with if Braden Willis really does emerge. I mean, it's kind of like when they had Dimitri Flowers. They didn't need a deep running back room at that point. And if Willis is as good as we think he's going to be, then maybe you really just need 3 running backs that are high quality right now.
Well, what last year proved is you can have them, and then Rodney, Sutton, they both go
Yeah,
go
you
down.
can never have too many. I think that's one thing that Oklahoma fans have
That'll be the
learned.
balance. You're like, wait a minute, you're counting on Brooks and Sermon not getting injured. But what if they do, and we don't have a guy like Feaster to be ready to go?
Well, and
know.
the other side of that argument is if you have a scholarship to give, which Oklahoma's going to have for this year, they're going to have a few free spaces. That one of the other schools listed with Feaster was Texas. Do you almost do that?
Take him just to keep him away from them?
Just to keep him away from Texas. Like, I mean, you wouldn't do it solely for that, but does that put a chip in that stack to say, okay, maybe we do this just so that we could try to keep him from having to deal with him in October and, maybe again in the Big 12 championship game.
Boy, I mean, I watched that Texas spring game. I think that offense is going to have a tough time.
I agree. It's an offense built for a running quarterback, and while Ellinger can run, that's not like people have tried to make him, that's not Greg Ward out there. That's not a guy that scares you with his feet so much as, he's just a really tough kid that'll go get yards when he can.
And you want to talk about running that same offense? I mean, they're set up to run that offense if he goes down. Boy, I don't think Casey Thompson will last. I mean, as much as Ellinger has gotten hurt, it's not like Kyler Murray back there. I mean, quick as a stick, and you can avoid anything. Like, Casey's going to take some hits.
If the rumors are true, maybe Tom Herman's fantasy will be realized, and he'll actually get a quarterback killed on the field.
Rumors are just fantasy. That's not very horns up for peace, Eddie.
Bad for the brand, I know.
All right, I think that's going to do it unless anybody else wants to bring anything else up before we get out of here.
Trying to
Bedlam
think. I don't think
baseball,
so.
anything? No? Nope.
No, I mean, he needs to win some games. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's going to happen, though. Kate Cavalli is going to probably start on Saturday. He'll be on a pitch count, but
Is the Tech series just the death knell for this program every year, it seems like now?
Tech's starting to play really well.
They are.
They caught them at the wrong time, but then again, it's like they had leads in the 6th inning of Friday and Saturday and lost both games. So if they only played 6 innings, OU probably would have won 2 or 3, but they played 9 in baseball, so it will be interesting. I've told you guys that I might be getting a tattoo.
What?
Natties for Patty?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I told Dylan and Todd that if OU softball won out, I'd get a Natties for
If they
Tatty
never
tat.
lost again. Yeah.
They're at 38 right now
38
in a row.
Yep.
And they probably would need to win like 15 or 16 more, which would break the all-time NCAA record, but I just don't see a whole lot of losses
They
coming
just
to them at any point.
Swept the entire
They're really, really
conference
good.
awards.
So Patty
Are
Gasso,
you talking about all the way through the World Series, Eddie?
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So no losers bracket for them in any regional or super regional.
Well, that's the thing is like, I don't think anybody in the country, Ogre or somebody on the board would be able to tell you better, but there's not any teams out there that are going to beat OU twice. So they're going to have to lose once somewhere, and then I think they'd get through the only time that I think that they could lose a game right now is basically if they go out and play really poorly or if they get beaten like the championship series once, which could happen. I mean, I think UCLA already beat them, but
they better find $30 million if they don't lose another game the rest of the season.
they might. I mean, they're not going to lase a game this weekend in the Big 12 tournament.
No, they're not even
probably.
come close.
And they're probably not going to get beat by Tulsa because everybody knows Tulsa's coming to play in the OU regional. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
You should, if that happens, you should buy a ticket and sit in the front and just hold up like whiteboard tweets, like at Tulsa. Like they can't block you that way.
Not a bad idea.
Do you think that if Eddie pulls like a Christian Yelich, like
Eddie's
goes and
blocked
says,
by the University of Tulsa, by the way. That's why that's funny.
Just the football
if
program.
you guys win tonight, I get a tattoo. Do you think Patty would come and actually give him the tattoo like the Brewers did for?
I think once that happens, you should be invited at the celebration to come sing the national anthem before the celebration starts.
Probably should do that.
Amazing.
Probably
We
should
know
contact some
Eddie
people.
can sing the anthem.
How many times have you done that?
Just twice.
That Darty and then at the bar?
Yeah, I was at the Jones for a Cleats for Kids thing.
But you did it in
Well, that
somebody's
get back to the
backyard
community.
before, too.
That was the same. It was at the Doherty. That was 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Want to happen again? Don't schedule the spring game on Master Saturday.
Okay, we're out of here. Thanks to Josh for sounding glorious once again. Thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Bob. And we'll see you guys next week where we'll ramble some more because, damn it, it's the summer.
There's nothing going on.
There's nothing going on. So I don't want to hear any more. Right now, guess what? You're going to get some rambling. You're going to get some tangents.
We'll go over my 5 favorite deep snappers of all time in Oklahoma.
That never got put on scholarship and should have been. Mike Winchester's got to be number 1, right?
James Winchester.
James Winchester.
He's up there.
Can't
That's
wait.
that's a spoiler.
That's
He's in the
spoiler.
top 5.
That's
He made
a tease
it.
right
He made
there.
it.
That's a tease.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next week right here back on the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com.